Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Minorities Podcast, your home for not-so-expert analysis, plenty of shit-talking, and where we don't forget to bring our uniforms to the game, and it costs us a point. Texas A&M men's basketball. I'm looking at you.
How did they... Okay, keep going. All right.
It's an angry joke waiting to happen. I'm your host, JC, your resident Titans fan. Joining me this week are...
Still infected, still COVID-ness chicken wing.
Wow.
I'll pretend I'm Nori, blah, 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 blah. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rob, the Bucks fan. Still dreading the return of the creamsicle jerseys, but still here, so...
Good evening, DJ here. Petition right now for the creamsicle jerseys to come back is at 1,000 signatures. You get 1,000 more, we'll get this shit done.
Yeah.
Okay. Creamsiclejersey.com. Head out there and sign. All right.
I just want you to know, Rob, yours is on the way. It's going to be here in 3 days.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to enjoy burning that. I really am.
Just wait till it gets really cold again, right? So you don't put it to waste.
Yeah.
Yes. Nori is our Giants fan, is not joining us. He's not feeling a little under the weather, not COVID related, we think. But it's a shame because he is not able to bask in the glory of his fantasy football win over DJ for the championship. So, Nori, I know you've been listening to us. Congratulations on your fantasy championship win. He had that locked up. All the players, neither him nor DJ had players going on Monday night. So that was locked up long before. So, obviously, we're going to get into our usual Week 17 discussion, and no doubt going to talk about the Damar Hamlin situation. Scary one at that, especially for me that was watching the game live. It was unbelievable, unprecedented. And we'll kind of discuss what potentially the NFL could do, could not do, how they handle this. Will they make it up? Will they, won't they? What are some options as well? And then kind of sort of making our predictions for the last week of the season. We're going to be more or less predicting what we think the playoff matchups will be.
Playoffs?
Since it is the last week of the season. Not want to reveal too much. And when we get to the standings, you'll see why. So, but let's jump right into it. Week 17. DJ, Rob, and Chicken Wing all finished 11-4. I went 10-5, and Nori went 9-6. Overall standings, I'm in first place with 160 correct picks. Rob and Chicken Wing have 156. Nori has 152, and DJ has 150. Now, obviously, if the NFL decides to make up the Bengals and Bills game, that could affect our final standings eventually. But as it stands right now, that's just how it holds. So we'll see. Because there is a few of us, if I'm not mistaken, some of us, like three of us picked...
3 of y'all picked the Bengals, 2 of us picked the Bills.
Yeah. But, yeah, 2 picked the Bengals. Myself
right.
and Nori picked the Bengals, and everybody else picked the Bills to win that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But, kind of going in order of how we did on the week. DJ, we're going to start with you. Any picks you regret? Any surprises from Week 17 of the NFL season?
No picks I regret, but surprises. Let's start with the Saints beating the Eagles. And not only beating the Eagles, but beating them as bad as they did. I don't know. Watching the Eagles play the Cowboys with Gardner Minshew, I said, okay, based on the fact that their team is healthy, minus Jalen Hurts, but with Gardner Minshew, they still were able to put up 34 points. They shouldn't have any problem beating the Saints. We'll go ahead and end this conversation about who's going to be the number 1 seed, and we'll call it a day. Then the Saints won 20-10. I was like, okay, you put up 34 against the Cowboys, and put up 10 points against the Saints. I don't understand that at all. And man, apparently Green Bay wants to get in the playoffs. Apparently they haven't given up. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers says something in the locker room. You're all cut if we don't get in the playoffs. I don't know, but the Vikings did it again. If the Vikings are not in a close one-score game, they don't fucking win. They either win these really close games when it's within a touchdown, or they get blown out. There is no in between for them. 40-3 against the Cowboys. Then they win some close games. Then the Packers come. Then they put the Packers 41-17. I don't understand. I don't know what the Vikings are doing, but that was surprising. I did think the Packers would win, but I didn't think the game would be over at halftime. Yeah. Other than that, that's it. Yeah.
Chicken Wing, on to you. What do you got?
Surprises? I don't have regrets. Obviously with me and DJ unfortunately being tied again. Had some educated picks there. Fuck you. Okay. The only true surprise that I have is the Saints Saints winning. Not saying that I'm disappointed. I'm super happy about that. I know DJ is too. They're a game from either taking number 2 or taking number 1. Let's go Giants. I'm the biggest Giants fan this week. Outside of that, no. The only kind of surprise was the Pittsburgh game, but I shouldn't be because those boys are playing for Tomlin. They're trying to keep his streak alive, and I respect that 100% on that one.
Rob.
My only regret was the Pittsburgh pick. I picked them on the podcast and I didn't save it to the thing. So yeah, just being stupid like that and missing out on a free point there. But other than that, no other. Well, I didn't expect. The one I didn't expect was the New Orleans, and I mean they weren't playing with Jalen Hurts, and I didn't expect the Eagles to win. So I don't know. Yeah, but other than that, no, nothing really surprising. Yeah.
For me, the only thing I regret is not getting on to change my pick and not checking on updates. I did not think Ron Rivera would be dumb enough to start Carson Wentz over Taylor Heinicke the way he'd be playing. What
fooled ya?
Doing?
Funny guy.
I don't. Okay, as good a coach as Ron Rivera is, it's got to be one of the most bonehead things because he had no idea that if Washington lost, they could be eliminated from the playoffs if Green Bay won that night.
Yes, it was amazing.
I watched that interview. That was great.
I really feel like he's like, oh, this game is a throwaway. All that matters is beating Dallas next week. And that's probably why he secretly put Wentz in there. But it's like, no, dumbass, you needed to win this game to keep it alive.
Yeah, they had to win out to get through. So, stupid.
Yeah, for the shot. So it was wonderful. It was a wonderful interview. I loved every minute of it.
I wish I could have seen that because I would have changed definitely to Cleveland. Pick there because, my God, that's just stupid. Philly's a surprise, or is it? I've been saying all season long, we're just waiting for Philly's collapse, right? And I know in a way it's a Jalen Hurts injury. I really thought, okay, if they play as good as they did with Gardner Minshew against Dallas, they should beat the Saints.
Yeah,
no.
right.
So, what is it? What is going on there? So yeah.
I mean, we are seeing
it wasn't a divisional rival. That's why.
No.
Yes.
I mean, we are seeing the difference, but an obvious difference between who's currently first and who's currently second. Not saying that DJ's team by any means is not a legitimate threat. It's just that.
It's just you're saying they're not a legitimate threat.
No, I'm saying like because Nick Wright said it best. He says you can obviously see a difference between a team that is winning games because of their quarterback versus a team that has great tools around the quarterback and they just need just enough for them to win. That's what I'm saying, and it makes sense because like what you said, JC. Look at Philly just falling apart without Jalen Hurts, and they're injured and they're hurt.
And see, that's a problem, too, because even if Hurts comes back this week, they've lost their momentum, That's two straight losses. They're going up against a Giants team, which I know from a standing standpoint, it doesn't really mean anything to the Giants. They're locked into the 6th seed no matter what.
Right.
But damn, wouldn't they love to carry some momentum? And there's a potential where everybody gets a bye next week if the NFL decides to make up the Bills and Bengals game and push the playoffs back a week. So why not? Why not let the Giants build some confidence, some momentum? If they beat the Eagles going into the playoffs, watch out, So
I mean, that's true too. I mean, if you look at it from a perspective, but I guess that's where you draw the line because they may just call it a no contest, right? And then we're going to resume. And if that's the case, sure, you're right. The Giants have nothing to play for. They're locked in at number 6. But at the same time, Hurts is coming back early from an injury. And if you re-aggravate that, he's done for the season, done for the playoffs. And then you have to rely on Minshew. And obviously, they're not winning games with him.
I don't think it's a gamble worth taking. Okay.
For who?
For Philly.
Philly.
Okay.
Yeah. So think about it. If you sit Jalen Hurts, worst case scenario, Dallas wins, the Eagles lose, Dallas wins the division. Your consolation as an Eagles fan, you go and play Tampa. Okay.
That's true.
Which would be revenge from last year because we know what Tampa did to Philly last year.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
Now, if by chance Dallas loses to Washington, the Eagles lose without Jalen Hurts, you end up in the 2 seed, right? Because they can't fall any lower than 2 if the Niners win.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're playing, I don't know, either Seattle, Detroit, or Green Bay, right?
Right.
Probably Green Bay, most
Correct.
likely. It
Probably,
seems like, but
yeah.
And even then, if you give that extra week for Hurts to get ready, it's better to play the Packers at home versus in Lambeau. So I don't think it's I don't think it's a smart play to play Hurts, but Eagles might be overthinking this, might get desperate, want to lock up that extra bye, but who's to say even if Hurts plays, the Eagles still struggle. We still see the same stuff that they're dealing with under Minshew. So,
Right, and let me throw this in there too. So I watched an interview with Dayball. He flat out said, "We're not resting our starters. Y'all can rest
I
when the
saw
season's
that.
over."
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not one of those where you're going to go against the second string and Jalen Hurts is going to have an easier time. You're not. You're going against the first string, and they would love nothing more than to beat the Eagles.
And that kind of ties into what you're saying, JC. It goes into that momentum. If you're going in and you screw Philly, a division rival, just like how they screwed them, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When they had a shot?
Yep.
It's I don't know. There's a lot in the air on both sides. I'm sorry, on both teams. What do you risk? What's the reward? Where do you play for? I mean, you're right. Dallas, sure, they can try to shoot for the home win. I mean, the home game. Shit, they can even try to go for the first place, assuming that both Philly and San Fran loses, because we have nothing to play for but position. The lowest we can go is 2. Or, I'm sorry, lowest we can go is 3. That's assuming Minnesota wins and we lose. But outside of that, I'd gladly take the Giants if we lose.
Yeah, because Niners would get... Well, the Niners could get anywhere from 1 to 3, right? So,
yeah, we can go anywhere from 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Dallas can get 1, 2, or 5.
Right.
And then Minnesota can't go any higher than 2 at that point. They lost the first place when they lost last week.
That's what a blowout to the Packers will do to you. Yeah. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Lots of scenarios, lots to talk about, lots we're going to break down here. So now, obviously, the biggest news is Damar Hamlin. And I want to get a discussion about that. I do. Before we do that, though, briefly want to talk a bit about college football. The college football playoff on New Year's Eve. My God, both of those games were amazing.
Yep.
But how about TCU showing up to beat Michigan? I forgot that Harbaugh's only won 1 bowl game since he got to Michigan. 1-7 now, I believe, as the head coach of the Wolverines.
Impressive.
So unbelievable. Ohio State, literally the clock struck midnight on Cinderella in that game. Because East Coast time, literally as the field goal hit the missed field goal, the ball just fluttered to the floor. The ball dropped to New York, and it was New Year's Day. Right at midnight, the Ohio State Buckeyes lose to Georgia. But they did.
Happy New Year's, old yourself.
Happy New Year.
But I'll say that wasn't even the best bowl game I saw this weekend, guys. Did anybody watch the Cotton Bowl?
I did not get a chance to watch it, no, sir.
No, I couldn't come down off the high of the TCU Michigan game because TCU was dominant early on. I said, wow, this could end up being a blowout. And Michigan was like, nah, hold my beer. And they brought it all the way back. And I was like, holy shit, I cannot turn the channel from this TV. So.
See, You say that, Rob. I know you're gonna hate talking about this, but
I hate talking about this. Do we have to talk about this?
speaking of hold my beer, here comes Tulane.
Oh my god, Tulane, man.
I heard about it.
Tulane.
I heard about it.
Oh my
Jesus
God, it was a hell of a
Christ,
game.
man.
Tulane basically gets a long touchdown. They're down 15 with about 4 minutes left. Get a touchdown, kick the extra point. Now they're down 8.
They're down 8.
Ensuing kickoff, it's kind of hit to the corner. It's probably going to go for a touchback. Kick returner decides to make a play for it. He muffs it, and the ball goes out at the 1.
Mm-hmm.
2 plays
I
later.
did see that highlight.
Yes. 2 plays later, Tulane tackles the running back in the end zone for a safety. Now Tulane is down by 6, and they get the free kick. And my God, they drove all the way down.
Drove all the way down, and they
Got a
ran the
touchdown.
entire clock.
The Trojans could not stop the green wave in the fourth quarter to
Wow.
save their life.
It's a wave, man. You can't stop it. It's a wave.
Yeah.
It happens, man. You can't stop that shit.
So
Okay? Can't do it.
get a
Like
late
a fucking
touchdown,
tsunami.
add the extra point, end up winning the game by a point, despite the all fun lateral plays you see at the end. That seems to have taken over everything. But man, what a game! Definitely the best bowl game. I know Rob's might not agree with me, but it has been the best bowl game of this season.
It was
so far.
alright. I love. Okay, on the positive side, I love seeing the USC receivers actually just blow up this game. Like,
Yeah.
it was so much fun watching them actually, play and just go out there. And man, how did it have to end like that? Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I know.
Tulane's good. Tulane is good.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
That American Conference, and UTSA is going right into that conference. So that's going to be a bummer where those two schools play next season. So, yeah.
Not happy.
Sorry, Rob, but I had to bring it up because
That's
it was
fine.
such a good game, So,
I'm not gonna say it wasn't a good game. It was definitely a good game, but just how it ended kind of sucks.
and yes,
Man.
I'm sure, I'll kind of throw some heat on me then. Titans and Cowboys, Thursday night. For one thing, I did get to watch that game with my dad. It been the first time in a long time because he got stranded here with the whole flight stuff from Southwest. But came over and watched it, and for a scout team, the Titans look pretty good because it felt like
Yeah,
it.
That's why I haven't been talking any shit, JC.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I haven't done anything. We got the win, but holy shit, I was pissed off the whole first half, and I literally mean pissed. So Yeah.
Had it not been for some stupid penalties committed on the Titans defense, that game would have been a lot closer than it was. How you bail out Dak Prescott on a dumb pass interference call for on a throw at 3rd and 10 that he was essentially throwing the ball away. It's like, come on, but that's the Titans secondary, right? So, but the way Josh Dobbs handled the offense, as much as his parents really weren't into the game, it looks like they look like statues every time they showed them on TV. Look, Rob, maybe you can relate because they look like Asian parents, right? Like they just don't care.
Oh yeah, hold on. Oh wait, let me see if I can find a picture of them. They
Yeah,
really
it
do.
was
They
amazing.
look like the typical Asian family. They're just like, oh, you're not like MVP. I'm not impressed. I'm like, bro, like
you don't have 4 touchdowns yet. What the fuck are you
he's
doing?
starting
Yeah.
an NFL
What's going on?
game. Like you,
Nah.
what?
He threw his first NFL touchdown pass for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And they were
Doesn't
so
matter.
stoic. Like,
Doesn't matter.
He's already graduated with his aerospace. He's a freaking rocket scientist,
he's literally rocket science.
Yes, he really is.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Nah, sorry.
Must win Super Bowl, Yeah,
Must win Super Bowl to get recognized. Yeah.
yeah, I guess. But hey, I
They-
feel,
they
a
know-
lot,
they're
I
gonna
feel a
hate
lot
you.
more confident with him versus Malik Willis and potentially a playoff run because Tannehill's on IR. He's done. So, that's Dobbs has been I'll call him the savior if we end up winning the division. So, man, oh man.
Bruh.
Yeah. But yeah, as soon as I saw his parents on screen, I was like, oh god, there's a meme waiting to happen.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they? I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, why do they look so pissed? They don't want to be here. They don't want to be here. But no, I realized it's not impressive because he threw his first touchdown pass, but they were still losing the game.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you do a touchdown pass, but you're not winning, so I don't care.
Yeah. Well, they had the lead at one point, right? So
They had the lead.
yeah.
Like
So
Well, they didn't have it long enough.
it wasn't a very
Never,
long
he's never
lead,
going to be
but
good enough.
yeah.
He's not going to be good enough, JC. All right, it is what it is. He's not going to be good enough.
You must win Super Bowl. Yeah. Right. So. All right. Then of course, all of that was overshadowed with the Monday night game. Very highly anticipated. I was watching it. It's very rare that I really sit down and want to watch a game that the Titans are not playing in, and this is what I was looking forward to. It was hard to believe that Josh Allen and Joe Burrow had never played each other at all, and this was the very first time it was going to happen. But Bengals take the opening drive, score a touchdown. Bills follow with a field goal drive, and it looked like your normal tackle. Didn't look like much. Higgins catches a pass. Damar Hamlin tackles him, takes him down, gets up, and then just faints. And it seemed like the whole world just stopped, Now, I thought at first when I saw the replay, I thought maybe it was like because it looked like he got hit under the chin. Maybe it was like a concussion, It was just like took a second for it to hit, then he was out. But when I saw that it happening like a lot longer, I was like, okay, this is worse. And then they reported CPR being done, and it's just crazy. Obviously, there's been a lot of debate on how the NFL handled this, handled that, giving them warm-up time, this and that. But overall, I think the NFL did the right thing, even if it took them almost an hour to announce the postponement of the game. And I'll explain why. Because if the NFL had come out right off the bat and said, this game is postponed, we're not going to finish it, there would have been a mad dash to the exit in the stadium, which would have affected the ability of that ambulance to get out of there and get Damar Hamlin to a hospital. Especially when they had to basically resuscitate him twice on the field after he had gone into cardiac arrest. Now, I don't know fully about the reports of... I know Joe Buck was saying they're going to give him 5 minutes to warm up if they were going to. I think that's just a standard protocol when there's a long delay, whether it's lightning or a severe injury or otherwise. Now, obviously, the coaches, the players said this isn't going to happen, and the NFL has said that game at this point is not going to be played this week. So, but before we get into what that scenarios are, guys, if you want to share any of your thoughts on this situation, on the way the NFL handled it, maybe you have a different perspective. We can kind of go around. We'll start with DJ. If you have anything.
At the end of the day, I think the NFL did the right thing. And I'll just say this: there's no protocol for this scenario, this specific scenario. There's no protocol for it. Yep. So I do think that there were lots of conversations happening between executives and whomever needed to make the decisions on how we're going to handle this, how to take care of it. And those conversations are going a mile a minute all over the place on how do we handle this best, what's the best way to do this, do we have the teams come back out, blah, blah, blah. I do think that the right decision was made to get the ambulance on the field first. I'm sure there were some fans that started leaving anyway, but it's a few and far between number as compared to what it could have been if we just said, hey, the game postponed indefinitely. When you're right, JC, to kind of piggyback off of what you said, everybody gets up and leaves. Well, now you're hindering the ambulance from getting in there, and as serious as the situation was, if the ambulance can't get in, there's no one to resuscitate him.
Yeah.
So maybe we're having a different conversation. So the fact that they were like, you know what, hang tight, don't say anything, just we'll give you an update when we can, and then the ambulance comes on the field, gets him, they get off the field, then it's okay, we're gonna suspend the game, be careful getting home, all that good stuff. I will say that, and I don't know, I've never seen anything like this. I've seen extremely hard hits before where you feel like, okay, this is definitely going to be a hit where this guy's going to need a stretcher, but then they're on the field for a little while, they get back up on their own, they walk off the field maybe with help, and that's it, the game goes on. But to see that type of hit where, as you said, it didn't even look like a hard hit, and for him to basically get up and then go right back down and immediately be limp, It was, I don't know, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like that, and I really had no idea what to think at that point. I was just staring at the TV. This is this isn't good. And then of course we saw what happened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Chickaway, any thoughts?
No. I mean, DJ pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like they handled it, I think, um, the best way possible. Because again, there is no direct protocol for this type of injury. And don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, injuries in football they happen a dime a dozen. We see it in if it's a sprain, if it's a tear, if it's a broken bone, broken foot, ACL. We've all seen it. The guys, they make sure the staff make sure they're okay. Our cousin, she's a medical trainer for football. Um, so you see it. The guy's okay. They get up. They get carted off the field. Resumes play. Obviously, in this situation, just like what JC said, um, you wanted to make sure that the ambulance can leave the stadium without traffic, and it was just smart. And so, above all else, last I checked, news, he's showing signs of improvement, so that's always a plus. Hats off to that. Um, I really hope he does get better, not for the sake of the Bills or for anything, but just as a person. I always talk shit to DJ, talk shit to Rob, everybody.
Yeah.
About playing against y'all squads, right? But like I don't ever wish injury on anybody. That's just inhuman. And so at the end of the day, I just hope he gets better. He's a young kid. He's fucking 24. He's 14 years younger than me. Dude, he has his whole life ahead of him. And so I don't want this guy to just, suddenly lose his life because he's living his dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. No, that makes no sense.
At the end of the day, I just hope he gets better, and we're still going to beat the Bills Super Bowl.
For those wondering, because a lot of people are wondering what is the hospital nearby. I've been to Cincinnati. I've seen where that stadium is. It's literally right in the south of downtown, right on the river, basically right on the border between Ohio and Kentucky. Like you cross the bridge from Kentucky to Ohio, the stadium is right there, right next to where the Reds play, all that. And the University of Cincinnati is like further north. It's at least another 4 or 5 miles away. So the ambulance basically has to get out of the stadium area onto the freeway up north to get to the UC Medical Hospital. So it's a little bit of a drive to get to the closest trauma center from that stadium. So, but yeah, Rob, your thoughts on how the NFL handled everything?
No, I'm gonna be honest. I thought they handled it as well as anyone could handle a situation like this. Like, this is something that hasn't happened in almost ever 50 years since they had a player actually die on the field. So like,
1971. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Chuck
so-
Hughes, a little bit of trivia, of course. I actually knew this because I was doing some research years ago when the debate was about UFC. How violent is it? Even at that point, I don't believe anyone to this date has died in an MMA fight. But
right.
yeah, Chuck Hughes, and it's a sad story. He actually came in as an injury replacement in that game in the fourth quarter. Took a hit to his chest, and played a bit, and then just suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest. And this was about a minute left of the game, and it turns out he had a heart attack. And basically, the autopsy revealed he had an undiagnosed heart disease, and that hit supposedly might have dislodged a blood clot that had developed, and that caused the fatal heart attack that took his life. He was young. I want to say that I think the interesting thing, though, because there was about a minute left of the game, they did actually finish the game. And he was playing, I think, for the Lions against the Bears. And I'm pretty sure, I think the Bears won. I don't know, I have to look it up again. But yeah, they actually went through and went ahead and finished the game because there was only a minute left just to play it out. But that's 1971. I think nowadays, if that would have happened, if this Damar Hamlin situation had happened after halftime, the game would have stood with whatever the score was because the game is official once they start the third quarter. So, but yeah, that's the only time it's ever happened on an NFL field, to my knowledge, was in 71. So, The protocols have been updated since then. Obviously, they rehearse what to do in a situation like this. Credit the first responders that got to the field and essentially saved Damar Hamlin's life to get him resuscitated. Because once you go to cardiac arrest, you have a few minutes to bring him back. So now the latest update on this situation that I have seen is that he spent the first 24 hours sedated with a ventilator, which is apparently standard for anyone that has had complete cardiac arrest where their heart is stopped. The reason they do that is to make sure their body can recover and allow it to breathe on its own. Since then, they've reported that he's breathing at 50%, and it's promising, but they're hopeful that they get him to be able to breathe on his own fairly soon. Still in critical condition, still in Cincinnati there. So, but that's pretty much the situation right now. The updates are few and far in between, and for good reason. I think, in a way, I'm thankful his mom was there. She happened to be at the game, so at least when he comes to, and hopefully he comes to, he'll have some family already there with him in the hospital room. So, now, obviously, this is a horrible situation. It's affected a lot of things. First of all, for anyone to blame T. Higgins for the hit, no. It was one of those hits that was like very rarely could have caused this. Like, you literally have to hit somebody in the right spot on their chest at the right part of a heartbeat to completely shut the heart down. That's really all it is. It's one of those freak things, and it sucks that this is the situation it's in right now. But how does the NFL move on from here? Obviously, we've said that they're not going to finish playing the game, but will they play it later on? There's multiple scenarios here that could play out. Week 18 is going on as scheduled. Now, they were actually awaiting the outcome of the Monday night game to decide if Cincy and the Ravens were going to play at either noon or the late afternoon game this weekend. They've gone ahead and just said that game is going to be played at noon. Same time, I believe, as Buffalo and New England. So they're put at the same time because that's going to play out. So what does the NFL do here? Well, they're going to play Week 18 as scheduled. If they ultimately decide to finish or restart or start over the game between the Bills and the Bengals, the only logical explanation to me is that they push the playoffs back a week. Basically have a Week 19 game, if you will, and then the league would lose that bye week before the Super Bowl. Something they've had in place since COVID. Something that essentially came into place, I think, 9/11 year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember if they actually had the bye week 9/11 year. So,
I can't think of.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, what this does, though, is if the game is not played at all, it really eliminates the Bengals from getting the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So if this game had finished, the Bengals would have won. They had a shot. But obviously on Saturday, we're going to get Chiefs against Raiders and Titans and Jags. If the Chiefs win, they claim the number 1 spot. If the Bengals would have won that game on Monday, they potentially could have had a shot, though, possibly by a win percentage, I believe. I'm not mistaken. I have to look at it again. But what it does do, though, is it also affects the Bills because the Bills have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. So even if the Chiefs and Bills win this weekend, the Chiefs are going to win strictly having played one more game than the Bills and have one more win. So how do we handle this? What are some ideas? What are some solutions? I've heard one idea being thrown around that if by chance the Chiefs and the Bills get to the AFC Championship game, they would play the game on a neutral site. Just so that the Bills wouldn't have to travel back to Arrowhead because they still had the tiebreaker, right? If they had finished with identical records.
That opens up a whole can of worms.
Essentially, the Chiefs have to agree to it. That's the biggest thing. But it's not like there's a shortage of places you can play. We know Indianapolis is open. Detroit potentially could be open. Obviously the Lions still have a shot, but Indy's, I guess you could say, halfway between Buffalo and Kansas City. It's a dome stadium, so there's no elements to worry about. Yeah. So, now, there is a long shot that Buffalo and Cincy could play in an AFC Championship game. Will that be a neutral site game as well, too? So those are some options being thrown around. Those are some potential compromises as well. Now, if, of course, the Bills win and the Bengals lose, it's essentially a moot point because you could replay that game and it wouldn't affect the standings in that respect. Now, if the Bills win and the Chiefs lose, the Bills could still claim the number 1 spot. And there's no worry there for that. So I think really what's going to play out is how these games finish up is really going to affect how the NFL decides to move forward with finishing up this game. So that's really kind of the situation right now with it. Now, as far as like people wondering about performance bonuses, fantasy football, all that stuff, as it stands right now, the game didn't happen. So those fantasy stats are basically just wiped out. So until the NFL decides to make some updates. So, yeah. What do you think about them potentially playing an AFC playoff game at a neutral site?
It's an interesting point. There was something that I read that I thought that was kind of wild because the Chiefs are directly impacted by this game. There was even talks of, believe it or not, using RNG to wipe out one of the Chiefs' games. They were going to pick a number between 1 through 16, and whatever game that RNG chose, that win was wiped from Kansas City.
Win or loss, because they did have losing games.
Yeah.
True. You're right. I'm sorry. Win or loss. And then that was going to impact Kansas City. And I was thinking, like, well, how is that fair to Kansas City? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Granted, no idea is going to be ideal for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because Kansas City is in a race for number 1, that was their quote-unquote fairest way of doing it, is take away one game chosen at random and see how that plays out. Now, how do y'all feel about that?
I personally think it's fair because they have way more wins than losses. And there's a very, very good chance, percentage-wise, that they would lose a win versus losing a loss in that scenario.
Which is true.
Yeah.
But then again, it also determines on who that opponent was that they won against. And how does that play out?
God,
Well, then you just go to the regular tiebreakers at that point. You go
naturally. But
you
I'm just saying
games against division opponents, and you go against,
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, in general, like, you looking at it from that perspective, like, do you still think that's a fair way of approaching it, regardless of what number was chosen?
I don't think it is. Because
it's funny
the stats
because
are official. Like, how does this affect performance bonuses, things like that? There's a lot of red tape you get into if you do that.
Of course.
Yeah. So, and depending on the game, that could affect whether a team makes the playoffs or not. Like, does it affect the other team
that's right,
out?
because it would affect the other team as well.
It would affect the other team that they beat.
Exactly.
Or
Does
lost.
it affect their tax position?
They Cincinnati beat Kansas City. So if that game gets wiped, then what?
Yep.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So that's where.
Hey, Joe Burrow, you did not beat me this year. You didn't
No, this year you are not.
You're not
beating
3-0,
me.
bitch. You're not 3-0. Fuck you.
You're not 3-0.
No,
See, that is truly a cheat code there. Then, nope, you didn't beat me. Nope.
That's some game genie shit, right? So
It is.
That's like I reset the game. It didn't happen.
It just
Nothing
reset. It didn't happen. What? No.
I pressed the reset, but nothing happened.
We're just starting the season. No.
And that's why when I read that, I'm like, that is the most asinine thing you can think of, because you're affecting the loser of that team, which could cause a ripple effect in the entire playoff seeding. So,
and the AFC is so fucking close. I mean, you literally click. In most cases, you click an AFC game and you pick one person to win. the seedings change. You pick the other team to win, and then the seedings change again, and there's teams that don't make the playoffs, and then they make the playoffs. There's so many things that
So
are
what happens
impacting
if both
AFC
teams
wise.
mutually agree to a tie?
Let's see. If both teams agree to a tie, which is another option.
Again, mutually agree. So like not like one team forces it on the other. They mutually agree. Okay, hey, let's just go ahead for the good of the game and everything here. We ended as a tie. How does that affect standings? Like
That'll lock Cincy to winning the North for sure. That's the only positive out of that one. But I think it pulls them out of the number 1 spot.
Well, actually, because this game isn't played, the Cincy is locked into the North no matter what. I believe also because Baltimore lost.
yeah, Baltimore
the
lost.
Steelers.
So,
Yeah,
Okay.
so Cincy's already clinched the division, no problem. Now, if
That's already done.
if they treat that game like a tie, I believe that Cincy, say this weekend, if Cincy wins and Buffalo loses, Cincy gets the 2 seed based on the 4th tiebreaker, which is strength of victory. But that's actually what the scenario is right now. Because of that, in that scenario, I believe both teams would finish with identical records.
yeah, they both finish
12-4-1, I believe.
12-4-1.
Yeah. And that gives the Bengals the tiebreaker based on strength of victory. So
But Kansas City will still take top seed.
Kansas City would still take top seed in that scenario,
yeah,
whether they win or
in.
lose. Yeah. So
They are locked in to number 1.
So that taking a tie really it hurts the Bengals more than it hurts the Buffalo as far as seeding goes, because
Wouldn't that lock them into number 2? Like,
actually,
how
you know
is that?
what? Let me think. They would
If
have
that locks them into number 2, is that really a bad thing for them?
that lock them into 2. Well, it doesn't lock them into 2 because they could still lose the 2 seed. They would have.
Well, they would have to lose because they'd have to lose to Baltimore, and the Bills would have to win.
The Bills would have to win, and the Chiefs would have to lose to the Raiders for the Bills to get the number 1 seed. So that half a win takes them out of the tiebreaker conversation with the Chiefs. So they, in essence, they needed a win to still hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Yeah. If you had a tie, they only have 13.5 wins. I think the Chiefs right now have, what?
14. Or projected
13. Yeah.
13 right now.
So actually, I don't know.
Raiders could play spoiler, but whatever.
They could with that quarterback. Shit, man. So.
Stids. Let's go Stids.
I mean, the Chiefs are 13 wins right now. The Buffalo Bills would have 12.5. Yeah. So that half a win could cost them, So there's a lot to figure out. Would you start doing it by percentage points?
Honestly, I think the tie is the
It's gonna be the go-to.
It's gonna have to be the go-to because any other scenario causes more issues than good.
Yeah.
I mean, like they already have like the extra bye week, or not the bye week, but like the empty week before the Super Bowl. It's not gonna impact, like, stadiums aren't scheduling games already, so like it's not gonna affect stadium sales or anything.
Not at all.
That extra, if we go into a week 19, it's just the game. Like it's gonna be the one game for the entire week. It just be that bye week switching to week 19.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the teams be like, well, we have to play an extra week while everybody else gets a week off. Well, I mean, what do you want me to do? It's just, I think.
Well,
honestly,
hell, some teams
that'd be
need that. You got to keep the momentum up because some teams are just.
But if you look at all the other playoff teams, like you can see Philadelphia welcoming that rest week. You can see the Giants welcoming that rest week.
Everybody else would be loving that extra week.
Like Tampa could use the extra week of rest. Like every other team that's looking at the playoffs right now, they're just like, you know what? Let's. I like that idea. Why don't y'all go ahead and replay the game? But we're just gonna chill for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they were to replay early enough, like on a Friday or something like that, to give them time.
No, because then you run the risk of doing a back-to-back game. Like what? No.
No. I mean, you run that extra week, but then you play the game like on a Friday night. instead of
because
So
some
you
games
like
play
that.
on a
They
Saturday.
give extra days. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you give extra days for them to
I see what you're
recover
saying.
based on whoever wins, and then allow them to play on Sunday the following week. You know,
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
wouldn't
They're
that
both
wouldn't that
locked
be an issue?
in.
That'd be an issue though with broadcast, would it? Like broadcasts are supposed to be
it just
Sunday
They
depends
can
on the
get around
contract. I mean,
that.
I don't know. It's see. Well, if they continue it on, it's ESPN. ESPN technically owns the rights to that
ESPN
game because
has
it was
the
a
rights
Monday
to the
night game.
game.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
they can do it.
they couldn't play it this coming Monday. Obviously, if they were to push this whole Week 18 back a week and play this game somehow this weekend, they couldn't do it on Monday because ESPN is broadcasting the national championship game. So that's and I think at this point of the week it's too
would be
late
the
to push it
weirdest
back.
thing? Have them play the game before the national championship.
They could,
In the afternoon. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
or okay, and this is a stretch, right? If they have to push it back a week, right? Have them play it on the Tuesday, the day after the national championship. But the affected outcome games for the playoffs, they won't play to that following Monday on the playoff weekend. That'll give
possible
them.
because they are going to have some wild card games on a Monday night this year, right? So, I mean, yeah, that's another possibility.
ESPN, I know you're listening. Sports Minorities
Well-
Podcast. Follow us on Twitter.
That is an
Facebook?
idea, but the only thing is, I think at this point of the week, it's too late. Like, if they were going to make a move like that, pushing back an entire week of games, I mean, the last time they did it this late in the week was because of 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah. I think 9/11
Well, I mean,
was on a
there's
Tuesday, and they didn't make the call till, like, what, the following Thursday? Because the NFL wanted to
Thursday,
go with the games,
yeah.
but the players said no, But I don't know. That's an interesting one there. But I think right now, as it stands, they're going to let this week play out. Now, if playing that game has a very big impact on potential standings for playoff seeding, I think they would push the playoffs back a week and play that week 19 game, if you will, just to get just let that affected, right?
Yeah.
But if we get a scenario where the Chiefs win, the Bills lose, Bills lose, and the Bengals lose, or I don't know. If the Chiefs win and the Bills lose, we may not play that game out. Unless
If they're locked in. They're locked in. Like
pretty
I
much.
mean, they're already all locked in at some point.
Yeah.
So they all have a playoff spot somewhere.
Now, if
So,
the Chiefs somehow lose this week, the Bills win, and the Bengals were to lose, then I think they would let it stand. Personally,
probably.
because if they were to finish that game, the Bengals would still be locked into the third seed, and the Bills would still clinch the top seed because they already have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. So, count it. If the Chiefs have to lose, the Bills have to win, and the Bengals have to lose this week for them to say, okay, well, there's no point in replaying the game. Hold it. Because at that point, then the outcome is not going to affect the standings.
Which I get.
Yeah.
Speaking of outcomes,
Huh?
making the segue. I don't like the night game. I'm not gonna lie. I don't.
why not?
Bitch, I already explained to you why. Now DJ probably doesn't know. So check it, DJ.
Yeah.
Because of the NFC 7 seed, there's 3 teams left, right? They put the Seahawks Rams game in the afternoon slot, with the night game being the Lions and the Packers, right? Well, if the Seahawks win, they eliminate the Lions.
Yes.
So
Wow.
the thing I was telling the guys is like, what's the fucking point if you're eliminated 2 hours before kickoff?
Well, it's beating Aaron Rodgers. That's the point.
This is true. Beating Aaron Rodgers at home,
I mean, this may be true.
and it is a division game. So
Now, let me throw this out there for you.
and playing spoilers to Aaron Rodgers.
What if the Seahawks and Rams tie?
How would that play out?
Here's how this plays out. If the Seahawks and Rams were to tie,
Detroit gets in
no.
with a win.
No, that
Detroit
becomes a
gets in with a
true
win. The Packers get in with a win. But if the Packers and Lions tie as well, the Seahawks get the last spot. So the Seahawks would have to go in praying for a tie on the Sunday night game for them to get in the playoffs.
That's funny.
I still, and it's as much as I fuck around with JC. Y'all's game Saturday isn't a true win to get in.
Yeah, there's some scenarios to play out where I think
Titans can get in.
No, the Titans have to win to get in. The Jags can still get a wild card. I actually have it up here. Let me find it. So the Jags could get the 7th seed on the wild card if the Dolphins, Patriots, and Steelers lose, and they lose to the Titans.
Yes.
So if the Jaguars lose the AFC South Championship game, if you will, they're going to be watching Sunday praying that Miami, New England, and the Steelers all go down. And if that happens, the Jags would actually get the 7th seed at 8-9.
8-9.
So.
Wow. That's wild.
So a lot has happened for the Jags to at least clinch that aspect of it. But for the Titans, it's very simple. If you win,
you're in.
You're in. If you lose or tie, you're out. There's no way. There's no way they could get a wild card spot. They have to win the division. So, and throwing it out there, if the Titans win the division, that means we will have 2 playoff teams, one on each conference, that are 8-9, and then we'll host a home playoff game. So, way to go!
Dumb. So dumb.
I mean, technically Tampa is still not 8-9 yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, assuming that Tampa rests everybody and lets the Falcons win. You know?
Yeah.
So
that's the assumption anyways.
So there's a lot of confusion. Obviously, we have to see how this week plays out before we get into that as well. So now, as far as our Week 18 predictions, we're going to be making these predictions based on the fact that we're going to assume the NFL is not going to replay Buffalo and Cincinnati. Plain and simple. That's really all we have to go on right now. Now, as we did last year, when we came to Week 18, we were not going to go game by game because the standings are pretty close. I'm in the lead by only 4 points over Rob and Chicken Wing. Nori is down 8. DJ's down 10.
The collapse is coming.
It's coming, oh. Yes.
So, rather than reveal what our picks are for all 16 games this week, what we're going to do is each reveal what our playoff predictions are. Now, this really only tells us a little bit of information, gives us some idea of what we're picking here. And this is through the playoff machine, obviously. But it doesn't reveal how we're picking the other games. Games like Minnesota and Chicago that have no bearing, Houston and Indy, Carolina and New Orleans. Those are the ones that stick out to me. Tampa versus Atlanta, you know. Those are the games that no matter what don't affect how the playoffs are going to play out. So, could be fun to watch though, right? So, I'm going to start with Nori's. He actually put his up in our little Discord, and so he has those out there for us. Now, here's what Nori had. And by the way, Nori, you should not have screenshot your picks. Because
That's
you put his picks in there. Anyway.
Now we know what not to pick.
I mean, he's so far behind. Like, does it matter at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 10.
He has the Chiefs getting the 1 seed. His on the AFC side, his wildcard matchups are Pittsburgh getting the 7th seed, going to Buffalo at the 2 seed. Ravens at Bengals, which would be a rematch of Week 18. And then he has the Chargers at the Jags. On the NFC side, he has San Francisco with the 1 seed. Then he has Packers at Dallas, Giants at Vikings, and Eagles at Bucks.
Let me just say this. I appreciate the confidence there, Nori. No, but I mean, I'd love to have that number 1 seed, you know. But yeah, that's wild he picked that. And fuck you, Rob. I saw your bracket, little bitch.
I love it.
Shut up.
DJ's gonna love it too.
Oh my god, shut up.
I see it. It's fucking beautiful.
Oh my god.
Well, Rob, you want to go ahead and talk through yours?
Sure, I'll go
Yeah.
through mine. So for the AFC
Yeah.
side, which is not all that exciting, we have the number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. We have the 7th seed Pittsburgh Steelers going into the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills. 6th seed Baltimore Ravens going into that repeat matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the LA away team going against the number 4 seed Tennessee Titans.
Brave man.
On the NFC side, we have the number 1 seed Dallas Cowboys. We have the 7 seed Detroit Lions going against the 2nd seed
Ooh, boy.
Minnesota Vikings. We have the 6th seed New York Giants against the 3rd seed San Francisco 49ers. And we have the injury-ridden 5th seed Philadelphia Eagles going into the 4th seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The battle between who's bad and who's worse.
Who's bad and who's worst? Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Winning.
How poetic would it
Winning.
be for the Eagles to finish their collapse by losing to Tampa? in the first
Tampa
round of the
again this
playoffs?
year.
All that
Oh, I
talk
love
and
it.
all that hype about the Eagles, and then they just go out and like
You just go out and you lose to the 8 and 9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I mean, that'd be great. I'm not gonna cap. That'd be
don't
that'd be
count on Tom
wonderful.
Brady in the playoffs. And honestly, the way he played the other night, bringing them back against
I
Carolina.
don't know, like
you know?
he started connecting with Evans, and like I'm enjoying this team. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Of
life
course
in
you
them.
are. Yeah, of course you are.
All right. Chicken Wing, your post or yours. We'll go with yours next. Go ahead. Read it out. What you got?
Well, mine's a realistic post, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
okay.
this Dallas
Mhm.
coming up the
We'll
top.
see about that.
That's coming.
Chaos.
Anyway,
Here.
so I have Kansas City, like everybody else, finishing out top seed. I have Miami squeaking out, going for a round 3 matchup to Buffalo. I have Baltimore, a round 3 matchup going to Cincy. And I have the surging Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the LA away team. There you go.
All right.
Love you, JC.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Eagles are going to finish up top. They're still going to be one and done, but they're going to finish up top.
Boring.
We're going to go ahead and end Aaron Rodgers' career. Green Bay going to
Oh,
San
the whole
Fran.
career. Okay.
Yeah, the whole career. Yeah. Man's
Okay. Yeah.
0-4 against us for a reason.
Bullshit. He's gonna sign with the Niners next year. That's what he's gonna do.
0-4 against them.
Oh, my God.
Isn't he like 0-4 at Lambeau too? Like it's not.
Well,
Just-
it's at
just
Lambeau.
combined.
This game's in San Francisco.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
2
It's
and
at
0.
Lambeau. He's 0-4.
he might be
so
better on the road. Just saying. You know.
No,
He might be better
exactly.
back home. In
No, he's never beat us
Frisco.
in the playoffs. Never.
no.
Yeah.
And he's 2-0 on both sides. I'm gonna have the Giants do the Lord a favor, do us all a favor, and get rid of the Vikings because those are fraudulent teams. And then of course Tom is gonna go ahead and retire Dallas for good. So fuck you,
franchise.
DJ.
Oh, so we have to do dirty work? No. See, that's not how
yeah,
it works.
yeah, we did it last year, bitch. You can do it. Have your
No.
turn.
No.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
DJ, what do you got?
Well, we'll start with the AFC, and it's uneventful because hooray for AFC. Anyways, Kansas City is number 1 seed. Shocking. I know, it's crazy. Patrick Mahomes still plays quarterback, so there it is. We've got
Kelsey kid
the
too.
7th seed. Yeah, the Kelsey guy's pretty good. Yeah, he didn't do shit for my fantasy team, but it's fine. It's okay. I'm not mad. So,
Watch him show up.
Watch him show up next week.
Right?
Yeah, he's gonna have goddamn 4 touchdowns and shit. And, all right, thanks, buddy. 1 week too late. Fuck. So we've got the 7th seed Miami Dolphins taking on the 2nd seed Buffalo Bills. We've got the 6th seed Baltimore Ravens taking on the 3rd seed Bengals. And then we have the Chargers taking on the champion Jacksonville Jaguars. Champion.
Look at JC's face. Look at. He just started shaking his head right into the champion. He's like,
yeah.
The next week I'm gonna just stream it so we can see JC's reactions.
Yeah.
oh, that's right.
Champions.
Games with JC's.
yeah,
So
we'll
then
see.
we have the NFC. We have the San Francisco Sons of Bitches, number 1 seed.
Wow. Such hatred.
Petition to change the mascot to
Yeah.
the Sons of Bitches. SOBs on
Sons of
the
Bitches.
helmet instead of SF. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, we'll take that shit around Dallas and get about 15,000 signatures in a day, I'm sure. Anyway, Green Bay will get in the playoffs. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers had for breakfast these past few weeks, but he'll win against Detroit. They'll get in the playoffs, so they'll be 7th seed, and they'll come to Dallas, which I'm not necessarily looking forward to because we don't beat Aaron Rodgers. But 7th seed Green Bay Packers versus the 2nd seed Dallas Cowboys. Then we have the Giants taking on the Vikings, and I agree with Mike for once. They'll beat the Vikings because the Vikings are frauds. And then we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the 5th seed taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the 55-year-old Tom Brady in the 4th seed.
55, dang. You just adding years to this man.
I know. Jesus.
Have you seen him run? I haven't either.
I mean,
He's 5 years old.
He's close to
runs?
60, but you're right. You're right.
I've never seen Tom run, to be honest.
So serious questions here. Let's just hypothetically say, DJ's bracket is the bracket that goes through, right?
Right.
Okay.
Do you see this as a revenge game, DJ, for the wild card game?
Do you mean if the Cowboys put the Packers?
Yeah. If you host the Packers, do you see this as a revenge game for the catch?
Oh,
Des Bryant's long gone. I mean,
Des is not. Yeah,
Yes.
Des isn't even there.
Yes, I do.
unless
it was a
Micah
catch.
Parsons, not Parsons,
I'll
who's the
call that.
quarterback now? CeeDee Lamb, right?
See,
Another 88 makes a catch, and they call it not a catch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or that infamous bullshit ass catch that sent the Packers to the Falcons that year. I think it was 2014.
Well, look. Here's the thing. Even though it's Aaron Rodgers playing the Cowboys, we have to look at history. And the history says in the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers is not good. He's just not. It's not just against the 49ers, just in general. He doesn't play as well.
Yeah, he's 7-9.
The 49ers have been the first team he plays in most cases because, the 49ers, like last year, into the wild card, played the Packers. It is what it is. Aaron Rodgers is like, oh, well, if we get a first round bye, then that's what I want. We get to play home games at Lambeau. Didn't fucking matter. Still lost. Yeah. And I realize it's not going to be in Lambeau Field, but it's the playoffs. He doesn't play well in the playoffs. He's great in the regular season, but that's not what this is. So yeah, I see it as a revenge game. We'll win. I don't care about the catch necessarily. It was a catch, first off, but I don't look at it as that necessarily. I look at it as the fact that we will finally get a win over Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, which the one time, if I'm not mistaken, the one time that we did it recently with Dak Prescott, recently enough, we did not win because Aaron Rodgers threw a goddamn prayer down the field. He failed to play defense to make sure that he didn't catch it. And then Mason Crosby hit the goddamn crossbar and it went in. Son of a bitch. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not mad about that. Just see y'all.
I'm a little upset with that.
Good. I'm good. I've made peace with it.
I haven't revealed mine yet either, by the way. But I'm just going to say this. If the Packers get in, that's the team nobody wants to face right now.
Packers?
Yes.
Yeah, if they get in, that means
the team getting
they're
hot at the right time.
like the hottest team in the
That's true.
NFC
They're the
right
hottest
now.
team right now. The Steelers are hot right now. The Giants have gone a bit hot right now too. So those are three very, very dangerous teams nobody wants to see in the playoffs. For
How
sure.
come JC is not mentioning the Jaguars?
No.
They're a fucking hot team.
I want to see.
Because fuck
Well,
Jacksonville.
Whoa.
That's violent.
Just so angry
I know
over
Phil's
there.
probably back from his cruise. Yeah, fuck Jacksonville. But
Hey Phil, how you doing, buddy?
yeah,
How's it going, man?
he's not joining. I know he's just getting back from a European cruise. I hope it was a lot of fun. Obviously, he didn't fly Southwest. He wouldn't have made it out there, but
Oh, damn.
It's not too soon. That's not too soon. No, that's okay.
Shots fired.
That is legal, sir.
Fine. No, that's
That's not
okay.
shaky. That's not shaky.
that being
got
said,
this.
here is my playoff scenario here for you guys. Kansas City, by virtue of the canceled Bills-Bengals game, will get the 1 seed. I have Steelers at Bills, Ravens at Bengals, Chargers at Titans, with Josh Dobbs the savior.
Ooh,
Let's go,
Dobbs
baby.
savior.
Dobbs the
Okay.
savior, baby. Oh, that's better than Malik Willis for
That's
that for
pretty
sure. On the NFC side, I have the 49ers getting the 1 seed. I have the
Fuck 'em.
Packers playing the Cowboys,
Ooh.
Giants at Vikings, and then Eagles at Bucks.
So you have Rob's AFC side and DJ's NFC side.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all are that confident that we're taking number one.
Mike, no, hold on.
Well,
it's not because
you want some more news about your division,
default.
by the way, Chicken Wing?
Sure.
Kyler Murray had his
Okay.
ACL surgery yesterday, and it's possible he's going to miss a good amount of the beginning of next season.
Oh yeah, well that I knew.
Yeah.
I thought you more. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The Cardinals are
He said,
fucking
"Whew."
done with.
That's like you got more bullshit news about Pete Carroll and the Sea Chickens. You can listen. I'd rather have Pete Carroll and the Sea Chickens eking their way in and keeping Green Bay out. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just me personally. That's
I actually
You know-
vote for the Lions to get in instead of the Steelers.
okay. We all want the Lions to get in, but realistically speaking, they're the worst of the three of the scenarios to get in. So,
Now, I'm picking this right now on the assumption that I cannot figure out the Jets and Dolphins to save my life this week. Because
It does- I
talk
don't know.
about collapses. Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have
4
the
through December.
Jets, which Salah said they're sticking with Zach Wilson because he's still got 2 more years. The fuck is wrong with you? Yeah. So
That's as bad as Ron Rivera. That motherfucker. Like they clearly went and had coffee together and said, "Hey, we've got our jobs. They're relatively secure. What can we do
yeah.
to fuck up?"
Mm.
Oh, I know.
and you see why I picked Miami.
I'll pick Carson
that's what
Wentz
I'm
to
undecided
start my
on.
next
I was like,
game.
I want to pick against the Jets because that comment about Zach Wilson. But if Mike White starts, I think he's going to do a lot better. But then that would mean I have to pick Miami to win. And what the hell have they been doing for the last month? So it's
losing.
yeah. So I'm going to be back and forth on that game. I'm going to be back and forth a bit on some other games as well. The Giants, like you said, have said this is going to be a playoff game for them. They're going to treat it like one. The Lions, no matter what, are going to treat it like a playoff game. That is an interesting scenario too. Like, if the Seahawks lose or tie, that Sunday night games becomes very, very intriguing for so many different reasons. Now, if the Seahawks win, then yes, it's basically going to be Seahawks or Packers that get in. But for those wondering, here's a little interesting scenario for you. What if the Seahawks lose and the Sunday night game is a tie? That actually puts the Lions in the playoffs over the Packers.
Yeah, let's go.
If you want to throw another tie into the season, so
We're all about that here. Come on now.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Already
that's what.
One. Let's add another one in there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean that's why I hated this slot. Like let's be honest here. The only reason why the Packers game is getting the Sunday night slot is because it's Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Yes.
Any other game probably wouldn't have mattered, honestly.
Now, another interesting piece of this, too, as well. If the Bengals beat the Ravens, the Chargers are locked into the 5 seed. So they could rest people if they want against the Broncos. Doesn't matter. They're still going to get the 5 seed no matter what.
Even if they rest people against the Broncos, they'll still beat the Broncos.
Probably. Just throw that idea out there. Yeah.
I mean, the house lost already.
Yeah,
So
Finally.
yeah, it only took, 17 weeks?
Yeah, it only took
Now-
the whole season from I fucking terrible. That's
That's
oh my
right.
God.
Obviously, the other piece of this is the
I'll go right
number
now.
1 pick in
Top
next
line.
year's draft. And that, in essence, is going to come down to Houston and Chicago. As it stands right now, Houston
Houston
has the number 1
spot.
pick by half a win because of the tie.
That's right.
If Houston wins and the Bears lose, the Bears will get the number 1 pick. If the Bears were to win, that locks Houston into the number 1 pick no matter what. But if the Bears tie and the Texans were to win, that actually still gives the Texans the number 1 pick because they lost to the Bears earlier this year. Just throw that out. Yeah. So I was throwing this idea out there too.
Tank.
Bryce Young
Yes.
is going to be the
Yes.
Texans pick no matter what.
That man's not going to the draft next year.
Well, he's already declared.
He already
Already
declared.
declared.
Damn.
He already declared.
Damn.
So
Yeah.
the Bears, if they
He's
got
gonna
the
be a
number one
Texan.
pick, say Chicago gets the number one pick, they don't need to take Bryce Young.
No.
The Texans will have the
No.
number 2 pick, so they can grab him.
And they'll still take it back.
But
Yeah.
that number 1 pick becomes very, very valuable to a number of teams that would trade for it to get Bryce Young.
That's facts.
So
The Houston Texans might get a lot of shit for that.
you know,
They could
so
do some things to improve their garbage team.
I can guarantee you right now, Bears fans are praying and hoping that the Texans win. Because the Bears have already announced Josh Fields is not playing. He's done for the rest of the year. Like, they're just going to rest him.
There's no
So,
reason. There's no reason for them.
yeah. So, if the Texans win, the Bears lose, I would guarantee you a lot of Bears fans are going to be like, hey, let's take it and make some currency out of this, get some more draft picks. 'Cause
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of teams that are going to want Bryce Young. A lot of teams looking for a quarterback for next year. So,
Indianapolis, anybody? Anybody?
you shut
Well,
the fuck
sure
up.
as shit ain't the Jets. That's for sure. They're sticking with their guy.
Which is dope to me. So,
That's- I
Would
don't
Carolina
know
make a
that's
reach
like
for
they're
him?
doing.
Carolina, maybe.
I'd say
New
so.
Orleans, maybe.
Yeah.
Atlanta. You know, the Raiders potentially, unless this
I feel like the
rookie pulls
Rams-
off a
the
hell of
Rams
an
might
upset this
too.
Saturday. So you know,
Nah, he won't. He won't do that.
Let's go, rookies.
he almost did it against
I
San
think- I
Francisco.
Chaos.
I'm just
Chaos
saying.
must reign supreme this week 18.
I think the Rams may make a play for that too, because I don't. Baker Mayfield's not the answer. He's not. So let's get past
Well,
that.
how much longer
He's
do
not
they
the
have
answer.
Stafford locked up? I know Stafford was injured most of this year, so I mean,
I'd have to look at his contract.
yeah.
But curious question: Is Deshaun going to be responsible for causing Mike Tomlin to get his first losing season?
Based on what
I
my
mean-
prediction is through my playoff seedings, I don't think so.
Yes.
Because that's the game that determines it.
Yep.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Well, I mean,
Bless you.
The Steelers though have been playing hot right now, so you know, I don't think so.
Deshaun Watson only had to complete 9 passes. And they bodied Washington. So, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He completed 9 fucking passes, and they won. So, I don't know. We'll see.
The Rams have Stafford to the 2024 season. They can choose to extend them to 2025 if they wanted to.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, for those wondering, here's the full wild card setup right now. For the people that haven't clinched yet, on the AFC side, the Patriots simply have to win. I think they have to win to get in, right? Yeah. If they beat the Bills, they get the 7th seed, no matter what, locked in. If they don't beat the Bills, then they also need the Dolphins to lose against the Jets, the Steelers to lose to the Browns, and the Jaguars to beat the Titans. The Dolphins, meanwhile, need to win and have the Patriots lose to the Bills. The Steelers need to win against the Browns and have the Dolphins lose and the Patriots lose. And as I mentioned before, the Jags can get the wild card with the loss, but they would need the Dolphins, Patriots, and Steelers to lose. Those are the final scenarios there. NFC, I think everybody knows this. Packers win it in, no matter what. The Lions can get in with a win at the Packers and have the Seahawks lose or tie. Or if they tie the Packers and the Seahawks lose, or if they tie the Packers and the Rams and Seahawks end in a tie, and the Commanders beat the Cowboys. For whatever reason, that all plays out. So, the Seahawks, of course, they have to win and then have win against the Rams and have the Packers lose or tie to the Lions to get in. Or they tie and then make sure the Lions and Packers don't end in a tie and then have the Commanders lose to the Cowboys. So there's some like weird strength of whatever that comes into play there. So that is really how this plays out, guys. So
Let's go Giants. That's what I'm saying.
Chaos.
Let's go Giants
this week.
Well, before we cut out, one more prediction I want you guys to make. Georgia or TCU?
TCU. Fuck you.
TCU.
TCU. I said it.
TCU.
This is
Whoever wins that
not.
game
This is
wins it
not
all.
a biased team.
Yeah. This is a great team, dude.
TCU.
TCU, man.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 of us are not giving a biased vote. That Dallas fan over there is giving a biased vote because he went to that school.
Yeah.
But anyway, TCU.
No, a TCU. Look.
TCU that was
We
5-7 last year.
all
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What they
With the
did to
first-year coach
Michigan.
this year,
We
too.
all saw what they did to Michigan with a first-year head coach.
Yeah.
We saw it. So now, I don't see how they don't beat Georgia. They play like that? How do you not beat Georgia?
They're already kind of used to that. I mean, they played their game in Arizona, obviously. The national championship's in LA. So, Georgia's got a longer way to travel for sure. But, yeah, I love what I saw from TCU. And I said it last week. I think whoever wins TCU Michigan is going to win the national championship. And I'm very excited to be watching that on Monday for sure. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Sports Minorities podcast. Again, to the entire Bills NFL family, University of Pittsburgh family, because that is where Damar Hamlin went. Saying prayers, thinking positive thoughts on his recovery, and to NFL fans in general. With all the talk that we've had on this podcast this year about player safety, about injuries, this is horrible. What's happened? It's very scary. The prognosis is looking good from the reports that we have and we've seen, and I'm hopeful that he continues his recovery and he's at least able to be on the sideline with his teammates as they make a playoff run. Obviously not play, but for him to be able to get back to breathing on his own after that. Wish him and his family all the best, and that he does live a long life from this. So, sports, for all it is it's can be very scary at times. And this one, I think it gets people to kind of stop and think about things. So, thank you everyone for joining us again. I'm JC, your resident Titans fan. Dobbs, lead us to the division championship. Lead us to the playoffs. If you're not gonna have a scout team playing with you this time, so let's just keep those Jags fans quiet, please. Let's break their hearts again. Joining me this week are
Chicken Wing. Let's go Jaguars. Let's go Giants. Biggest fan for both of y'all today and this week.
All right.
Something, Nori, blah, blah, New York Giants.
Blah 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 blah. Giants. Giants are the fucking best. We're the best team ever. I had confidence in them all year.
Yeah. Never doubted. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rob, the number 2 Dallas Cowboy fan this week. So, gotta get them boys some number 1 seed there. Yeah, fun times.
Good evening, DJ here, Cowboys fan. Looking forward to the Jags-Titans game. And by that I mean I'm looking forward to the Jags game. Go Sports. Yay.
Jesus Christ.
There's 2 of us, bro.
I know.
You feel ganged
Y'all
up on?
related. Thank you everyone for joining us on the Sports Minorities podcast. We'll catch you next week and see if we're going to be making our full bracket playoff predictions as well, and reveal who wins our full season pickup game. So, see you next time.
Thanks everyone once again for listening to the Sports Minorities podcast. We do appreciate it. If you want to keep the conversation going, we're on Twitter at Sports Minor Pod and also on Facebook at Sports Minorities. Our YouTube channel, Sports Minorities. Search on there. We live stream every now and then, just some random stuff. And you can also reach us via email, sports.minorities@gmail.com. We do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Hey, you were excited that like Dallas might actually win a playoff game?
No, I'm not. Fuck you.
Well, fuck you, Mike. Nobody asked you. Okay? Ask me. He's asking the Cowboys fans. I'm asking the goddamn 49er fans.